Welcome to Voices Beyond the Spectrum. Real stories, brave voices, radiant perspectives. This is the podcast for parents and caregivers of autistic and neurodivergent children and teens. I'm your host, and each week we hold space for honest conversations, shared struggles, and hard-won victories from those who truly live it. You're not alone. Your story matters, and it starts here. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Voices Beyond the Spectrum, Resource Hub Edition. I'm your host, Karla Chinen, and today's episode is one that I know will offer a lot of clarity, hope, and direction for families, especially those exploring adult services and wanting their loved ones to live, work, and thrive with dignity. I'm honored to welcome Leonel Zuno, who brings more than 25 years of experience supporting families, adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. His passion for this work comes from personal experience, and today he serves with Options for All, an organization dedicated to empowering adults through employment, independent living supports, community engagement, and meaningful day programs, including some truly innovative film and media opportunities. Linnell, thank you so much for being here today. And to start, let's give our listeners a chance to get to know you a little bit more. So, Linnell, can you please introduce yourself and share your role with Options for All, please?
Sure. Thank you, Carla, so much for inviting me and being part of this conversation. As you mentioned, my name is Leonel Zuno, but people know me as Leo Zuno. I'm a representative from Options for All. I've been working there for a little bit over 7 years. And with all the experience I have, like you mentioned, it comes from a personal experience with my mom struggling with my brother, who is an adult with an undiagnosed disability. I witnessed all the struggles my mom went to try to get the right support for him. And, I'm talking about, 30, 35 years ago, where really the information was not there. So that kind of, light a light in my mind that I wanted to do something like this. And when I was introduced 25 years ago to this field, I fell in love. And I feel like, this is what I really was looking for. And here I am working in this field and trying to help as many people as possible to get that type of information that will increase the quality of the life of their loved ones. So thank you again.
No, it's my pleasure to have you here, and I completely understand. I know, for example, I'm a sibling. My brother's autistic, and I saw what it was like for my mom to struggle to get services at that time because the awareness was not there. And I mean, don't we live in an amazing world now that it's so accessible to us, and to be able to provide these kind of podcasts or services where it allows other people that didn't know resources were there to know that they're there. Thank you very much for, seeing where there was a need and trying to fill that need for our families. With that being said, for the families who might be hearing about Option for All for the first time, how would you describe what Options for All is and what the organization does?
Yes. Ashes for All, we're just celebrating our 40-year anniversary. And it started 40 years ago in San Diego with a group of, I believe it was 8 parents that were really struggling to find the support for their children. So they kind of got together and formed a foundation, and they decided to look for information so that they can provide some support for their children around that time. That kind of little organization that they have is now Options for All. It's been since 1985, and now we have more than 1,500 individuals that we serve in all the different programs. We do have 3 regions, and so through all those regions, we do help all these individuals in each of the programs that we have. And each region has different programs.
Well, that's amazing to hear. I know how much that need is. And sometimes, adult services can feel overwhelming or confusing for our families. So I would love if you could break down a little bit more, like in everyday language, how would you explain the mission and the purpose of Option for All?
Sure. Well, the mission is really to make sure that all individuals are served according to their needs. We want to make sure that we want to create and support all opportunities for adults. In our foundation, we only serve adults. So for all the adults with intellectual disabilities, in making choices in their where to live, where to work in their own community, and by doing so with dignity and respect. That's kind of the main purpose of the company. And again, our vision is to create hope, inspire dreams, and enable all the individuals or all the clients to live their life without any limits.
Yeah. And I think there's such a powerful message behind that, providing a purpose. I think a lot of the times we see a lot of communities engaging in a lot of ableism vocabulary towards individuals that have disabilities, and it takes away from their true potential, and it almost overshadows their potential. So I think having organizations like this that really look at the individual for who they are and provide services with dignity is nothing more than amazing.
You just kind of hit it by right in the point that at Ashes for All, we just try to communicate their own language. We really kind of analyze the best way they learn, the best way they enjoy activities. And we kind of gathered that. And one thing that I really love about Ashes for All is that we don't see the disabilities. We see the potential. And that potential is what gets us to have 90 plus satisfaction of all the participants that we serve. So I think that what you just said is really true. And, I speak for all the regions in our program. We try to make everybody that walks into our company, whether it's a client or whether it's an employee, to feel comfortable.
As a personal parent myself, and as my son is getting older, it gives me some peace of mind knowing that there are organizations out there as he is growing out of school services, that there are other options for him to continue to have a purpose, for him to continue to want to wake up in the mornings and get up and do things and be part of a community. So it's amazing that these organizations like Options for All are here to provide those services. And with that being said, what types of individuals qualify for your programs and support?
Yes, so it has to be 18 years old or older, and they have to be registered at the regional center. That's when we all start. We do help all the families that come on board. We help them get all the information from the regional center. Once they agree to do our referral for our programs, and then we do all the paperwork and everything from the regional center. But that's kind of who qualifies. There's an area for employment that you don't need to be a regional center client in order to participate in the employment program, but it is through DOR. That's the only case that we can help with the regional center services.
And then you do offer a wide range of services that support adults in different ways. Can you kind of walk us through your employment programs and how do they support the adults in finding and keeping meaningful jobs in the community?
Sure. Once we get an individual that had expressed his desire or have a paid employment, then we do an evaluation of the skills of this individual to try to find if there's areas that we need to work a little bit more, or if this individual is already it's ready for the employment. And once that happens, then our employment specialist meets again with the individual and then talks about where you want to work, what area, close to your house or not close to your house. In order to be part of the supported employment, all the individuals have to provide their own transportation. It's a regional center requirement. So the program doesn't provide transportation, and they can go to their job site, and access it's a very affordable transportation method. But once that all those requirements are met and the employment specialist has an idea of what to look for, then he goes out in the community and looks for that job. We want to make sure that when we walk into a possible employer, that we help them kind of see the vision of this person or get the personality of this person, and let us kind of carve that positions, because they say, oh yeah, he can work washing dishes, but we know the individuals struggle with this and that, right? Certain things. So that's when the coach kind of enters in the picture to carve the right way to support that person in that task. So it's usually flexible hours. It could be part-time or it could be full-time, depending on what the individual wants. Talking about the support, it starts at 100% with individual until the individual learns all the tasks assigned. Once that happens, then the support starts fading out, until, the manager and the individual and the instructor or the coach kind of feels comfortable that they have learned the activity and they can do it for periods of time without that support. We're trying to stay away from the regular jobs that people with disabilities get. We try to be creative, and we try to find what's closest to their dream. Because, the participants could say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to work as an astronaut, right? Let's try to find something that has some elements of that type of field that will make him feel comfortable, and they can see, well, I'm working, and be an astronaut. Um, and then that's how that would carve kind of the jobs for them. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is. But I make sure that we find the job and help them maintain the job.
That's amazing how, yeah, you're able to come in as almost like a liaisons between the employer and the
Yes.
client, and then at that point create that connection and that support until hopefully you're able to fade out the support so they're more independently driven. So that is amazing. And like now shifting a little bit to the daily life and the connection, what does the community engagement look like for participants on a typical day?
This is
Mhm.
program where skills that are practiced in that program are kind of regular skills, regular life skills. We are big in socializing because most individuals that want to be part of this, they're looking for that. They want to improve their social skills. So
Mhm.
we're big on that, and safety. Those are kind of the two main components that kind of identify this program. But at the same time, we're preparing them for work if that's what they want to do. That's when we start a little bit preparing them for work, whether it's, going to do exploration in the community, or have a chance to practice how they need to behave during an interview, how to fill up an application, like, how to clock in and clock out. We also offer volunteer opportunities in this program where they can practice those skills, following supervisor's instructions, make sure that they complete the task on time. So that's kind of a practice for individuals if they want to work. But if working is not their goal, then volunteer is a great opportunity for them to feel like they giving back to their own community, and they get to know so many interesting people. It kind of brings something else into their life. Usually it's Monday to Friday, and is from 8 to 1 o'clock in the Inland Empire area. And we do provide transportation for that group. They do practice, like I say, social and safety is the main thing, but we practice a lot of skills. We don't just go to the mall, because most of the people, when I bring that the community engagement, they're like, oh no, I'm not interested in that program, because they just go to the mall and sit down. And I say, well, not us, not us, because yes, we go to the mall because that's what the participants want to do. We come up with the schedule and they tell us what they want to do in that schedule. We pre-plan it for the following week. But when we walk into the mall, we help them, first of all, to distinguish who's a safe stranger from a not safe stranger. What to do if an emergency comes when we're here, when they go order for the lunch, how to make sure that they order the right item for the budget they have, for the money they have, how to stay, within the group. What will be the plan if one separates? Luckily, most of our individuals now have a cell phone. So, we're training to make sure they call us right away, make sure that they have the number in their cell phone that they can call us right away so we can know where they are. So that's kind of, in between the activity, that's a lot of the skills, of some of the skills that we practice.
Going back to that purpose, community engagement, because a lot of the times once our kiddos graduate after, let's say 18 or 22, depending on the program they're in, a lot of parents start getting this almost anxiety as to what is my kid's going to do? Is he going to just be at home all day, just sitting on the couch on his tablet the whole time? Or knowing that there are these programs that they can still take and not just provide them obviously skills, life skills, but on top of that, also have that camaraderie with other peers that allows them to have that social aspect also be incorporated into their daily life that I think is essential for any human. Another major area is independent and support living. We can go into the Taylor Day services because a lot of people honestly don't know what that means. So that would be
Yes.
amazing if you could. narrow it down for us.
Yes. So the Taylor Day service, it's kind of like the independent living. We try to combine it and try to mimic it because, for budget issues and all that, we have to kind of let it go of that part, which it was really hard because we had a lot of individuals, but we combined it and so far they're happy with because it's kind of the same. It shifted a little bit, but it's the same at the end. And this program it has very flexible hours. They're tailored to the needs of the individual. All the activities, all the support plan for this program, it is just that designed to help the individual needs of each other person, all the preferences. We can help anybody say, well, I want to list 2 hours of going to an acting school because, I want to be an actor. And there you go. So that we find nonprofit foundations or places where, they can go and practice those skills. And we take them for 2-3 hours and they do that. There's some individuals that say, I want to do my own banking because eventually I want to be more independent. I don't want to live with mom all the time. Then we do that. We'll help them how to go to the bank, do each of their transactions and all that. Also, we do if they want to continue going to college. Some of the students say, I finished high school, but I want to go to college because I want to, become this and that. We help them with that. Fortunately, in some of the college, they don't let the coach get into the class for privacy issues. And also in respect to the individual, because we don't want everybody to know that he has some type of disability or that he needs extra support. However, the communication with the teacher increases to a point that we know what were the assignments. We know what was kind of the class for that day, and we work on the individual at that. We never do anything for the individual. We show them how to do it. And the support also can be like, I want to learn how to drive. I want to go take the written test. It creates a lot of anxiety for parents, which I totally understand. I went through that when my daughter wanted to drive, but it is, just a step they want to do. So we help them practice that. It's just creating, it's helping them continue to fulfill their own personal goals, wherever it is that they wanted to, like I say, from acting, singing, or just going in the community. Because sometimes they're like, I just want to go have fun. I finished high school. Maybe I want to take, 6 months or so, just having fun. We can do that. But even though it's called fun, there's always skills in there that we implement in order for him to continue his improving, And it's a very strict goal-oriented planning that we do in order to find the type of support for this program. We do provide transportation in this program.
Great to know. And like you mentioned, with funding, there's always shifting to be done. But I'm glad you guys were able to shift it to provide the Taylor Days. So that still provides back to the families with the individuals that need that. And
Yes.
something that's like truly unique with Options for All is the film and media programs you guys have. So how do these creative opportunities help participants build confidence, develop skills, and create community?
Yes, like you said, it's one of the programs that's innovated because it gives the participants the opportunity and explore their own creativity. Some of them are very good with their phone and creating videos or doing all kinds of things with technology. Well, in this program, they have the chance to really kind of polish those skills and get it to the next level. Also, for those who like writing a lot, writing stories or writing in their journals on all that, we have classes that they can write scripts for a short film, for a commercial, for a documentary, or even a movie. And then, we teach them also how to edit those skills. It's amazing when you see it in person. So whenever you have a chance, I would like to arrange a tour for you to go see it. It's amazing when you go see the work in progress with them. They have the idea, and those who are good at writing, they write the script. And then, it goes to the next section where they edit the skills, and then it goes to pre-production. And the process is very amazing. And if you go in our website, there are examples of all the videos, especially I think it's on YouTube and Facebook, where they have a lot of videos that these programs have created. They created one for me for
Oh,
the special project that I'm working for, the grant that we have, and it was amazing because it helped me so much when I'm doing presentations.
I will take you up on that offer. I will definitely go take a
Yes.
tour. It gives such a purpose beyond what you said, the typical things that they always assume our kids are not capable of doing or our adults are not able to do. I say kids because my son's still little. Well, not so little,
How old
but
is your
little in
son?
age. He's 12. He's huge, but he's 12, so he's still a baby to me.
Yes.
But, I will definitely go check that place out. And then for our listeners, I will put the website on the description in the podcast so you guys can go visit and support. It's a great programs like this that are able to shine light on the wonderful skills our individuals with disabilities have.
So, in this program, the regional center provides transportation. So, once they get into our program, we help them with that to make sure we get all the paperwork, we get everything straight. Usually, they come to me or directly to the manager of the facility, and then
Mhm.
we start the process. Usually, I arrange tours, then go take a family to do a tour. But it has been very successful for the families to see it up front and say, like, I want my son to be, because in reality, it's creative exploration program. Really, maybe they're not going to work on films in the future, but the skills that they learn there will take them anywhere. They can take those skills and transfer to another type of industry. So
Mhm.
it is very, very exciting. And for those individuals that kind of excel in their skills and show a great potential in this type of industry, we have the internship program where options for pay them to do work right there for us while they're looking for a job for them. It's kind of reward for those individuals that really want to be part of that.
That
And
that
it's a 2 year program, and it's by semesters.
it definitely benefits the individuals to find because sometimes they might not even know that they have great skills in that area because they were
Yes,
never exposed to it. So just that
exactly.
exposure aspect provides that additional moment for them.
Yes,
And the fact that you guys are also providing that internship, it allows it to happen gradually. After they graduate that internship, maybe by that point, they're able to get with another employer doing the job that they have a passion for.
yes. We can jump to the enhanced behavior.
Yes. As far as the enhanced behaviors and services, how do you continue having the adults access the communities with dignity and safety in those regards?
Okay, in the Inland Empire, we don't have that program yet. There were some situations that kind of it's been stopping us from continue moving forward, but we're working on it. But we do have it in San Diego. And in San Diego, we serve the individuals that have kind of those disrupting behaviors that
Mhm.
kind of put themselves and other people in danger if they go out too much into the community. So we take them into this program. At the beginning of the program, if the behavior is really disrupted, we do have a class setting in a building where all the coaches use strategies to reduce the challenging behaviors and teach them an alternative way to communicate. Because in reality, when they have a behavior, they're trying to communicate something. And so we try to find a way for them to use an alternative method to communicate. That's kind of what they concentrate. We help them with skill development too, you know, how to cope when you're getting stressed and you're about to start throwing things or hitting yourself or screaming really loud. Nowadays, people out in the community kind of sensitive or are kind of acting in a different way than it was before. There's not a lot of understanding towards the individuals with disabilities. And, when you take an individual that have disruptive behaviors into a restaurant and he starts screaming really loud, then there's complaints. And there's people asking, he needs to go out. And then, that creates another frustration feeling for this individual. And with this program, we try to minimize that. We want to make sure that before we take this individual in the community, this individual is ready to control his actions, to control his emotions, to control his behaviors, to use another way to communicate. It's big on training in communication, coping skills, social skills, and how to replace those maladaptive behaviors that they have gotten through the years. We focus also and independence and community integration by doing that. Usually is a one-on-one support, but as the participants can improve, it could get to 1 in 3 support, 1 and 2, depending on the need. Once all the team, the support team says, he's ready to go out, we want to make sure he's ready to go out, and we want to make sure that we support that person. An instructor never goes alone. The first times he goes out in the community when individuals that have very disruptive behaviors, there's another person behind the scenes kind of watching and be ready in case they need to.
A question for that. So let's say I know Regional Center offers personal assistant hours or social recreation partners. Would they be able to tag along with you guys on these outings, or is it something where it's just your staff and the individual?
No, they're able. Actually, well, I have to check in with the enhanced behavior, but I don't see why not. We do allow that extra support at the film and media for those individuals that want to, I want to have that extra support, or like, this is the person that I've been working with for a long time. I will go if this person goes. We're okay with that. And I think in this program is also the case. We can do that. Obviously, there's always that conversation that, but I make sure that the coach, that this individual kind of lets the coach do his job to make sure that we kind of continue the progress for this individual.
And then based upon this program being in San Diego, is it funded by San Diego Regional, or is it still funded by Inland Regional Center?
It's funded by the San Diego.
So, so you cover certain programs under Inland Regional Center for Riverside and San Bernardino, and this program specifically through the San Diego region. But the San Diego region, do they also have access to your other programs, or just this one?
No, they have everything there. They have
as
all
well.
the programs. Yeah, all the programs that I mentioned, they're all there.
Okay.
They do have that because that's when we kind of all started, and everything was already set up there. And right here, like I say, it's a little bit tricky in conversations with the regional center, that requirements to have a program set up. First of all, for them, we want to make sure they're safe, and we don't want to say, oh, we're ready just because we want the extra program and all that, but we want to make sure that every check, that every box is checked before we say we're.
And I completely agree with you when you mentioned the situation of how sometimes the community still is lacking the acceptance aspect. There's big talks about inclusivity, but there's very vague language around that. And I think that's why, I started this nonprofit myself, share that awareness not only with the parents and the community, but also with the professionals, and to also the communities, because my son is one of those where I hate the B word, the behavior word, because honestly, it is just his way of reacting when he doesn't have words for it. And teaching him coping skills and how to self-regulate to really decrease a lot of reactions towards not having those words. So with that being said, I'm a huge supporter on, providing those additional skills, not necessarily compliance skills to the children or now adults, but also to teach them practical coping skills and practical self-sufficiency skills to get them to the point where they feel comfortable. Hopefully with time, the society and communities are able to be more understanding that when a child is stimming, and having echolalia and screaming or banging out of stimming situations on the table, they don't mean harm. That's the way they communicate. That's the way that they're self-regulating. And hopefully the more we talk about it, the more awareness that comes out there to our communities. So our children are able to feel more comfortable in society, and not have to constantly be masking their stimming as well. So definitely. And then, so for families listening and thinking, okay, this sounds amazing. How do I begin? Let's talk about the steps that they have to take to be able to sign up with you guys.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's kind of what I do as a client promoter for Actions for All, that I go out into the community and present all these services to everybody. And usually they come to me and say, hey, I want to, my son to be part of this program. And so I kind of do all these steps, like, communicate with the managers and ask them to get all the reports from the regional center, and then prep an intake meeting for these individuals and all that. But they can also go into their website. And if you want also share my information to anybody that feels comfortable, I also speak Spanish for those who want to I feel more comfortable in that language, then I can help them. But usually they can go into the website and find the Inland Empire region, and there's all sorts of information on who to contact.
Perfect.
That
And
will be the first step. And then from there, like I said, we communicate with the regional center and we follow
the referral process. Perfect. And then, are there any plans for growth in new locations in the near future, or right now just growing within your own regions that are you currently covering, which you mentioned is Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego?
Yes, there's a lot of plans to expand those services because unfortunately we don't cover the high desert right now with Victorville, know that. And I did a couple, well, more than a couple presentations over there. And I came back and I said, you got to do something. There's so much need. I mean, even our community engagement, there's so much people struggling with those basic skills. I have all these families that came and say, my son is acting this and that way because I can't find the right programming. And there's a couple here, but they either don't have an opening or the waiting list is too long and all that. So luckily in the last meeting, we're working on that. Again, we have to go to the regional center and then kind of create. And logistically, it's really hard. It's not impossible and it's not difficult. So we're working on it. We're also expanding our service right now. The Inland Empire kind of region covers all the way to Chino right now. I think Chino, it's the area on the side, and then all the way to Cabazon on the Fontana, Rialto, all those areas, San Bernardino, Riverside, all the way to Murrieta. And Temecula, I think that's where we get with our region, and then San Diego kind of takes over there. And all the way to Hemmings, San Jacinto, Menifee, all those areas there. We also cover that. But the idea also is to span all the way to Coachella, Indio, Palm Springs, the 29 Palms, and all those areas, because again, with these outreach events that we have done, there's a lot of need. There's a lot of need for like a film and media program there. There's a lot of need for the tailor day services, something different from the basic regular day program.
Well, there you go, people. So keep an eye out for the updates and changes with Options for All. And you've worked with so many individuals and families through this journey. Without sharing personal details, is there a story or a moment that stands out really that captures the impact of Option for All?
Yes, there's a lot. I have to say, there's individuals that have come with very unique ways of communicating that not necessarily match with whatever it's happening out in society or when the rest of the people communicates, and we help them tailor that. But one that I want to share, it's not a personal, but it's somebody that I work with because I used to be a coach also at the very beginning. And it's this individual that has struggles with changes, like a really, really big issue with him when there was an unexpected change in. But he sees himself like, I'm very independent. I don't need any help. Everybody kind of needs to leave me alone. The way I am is the way it is. And if you don't like me, it's your
It's your
fault.
problem.
It's not mine. So, family was really concerned because, even at home, that's kind of the way he acts. The employment specialist was able to find him a job at a restaurant. And the only position available was to work on the front. And keep in mind that another struggle that he had was social skills. It's an individual that kind of kept to himself. It was very, he can tell you what is bothering him. And that kind of isolates him a little bit because he wasn't communicating that in the best way possible. So we didn't have many people that really like to be around him because of that type of personality. So when they say that he was going to work on the front desk, helping customers, and when you work on the front, there's a lot of stuff that is happening. You can be mopping floors one time, you can be cleaning a table, you can be helping a senior customer, getting their food. It's a lot of changes. So we took a deep breath and we presented the opportunity for him. He say, hell no, I'm not going to put myself on that. But we convinced him, and slowly finding those coping skills, those coping mechanisms that he was not really, he didn't have those in his toolbox. We help him kind of, able to find those, and a lot of practice. Luckily, at the very beginning, he only worked 1 day. So he gave us the other 4 days, kind of practice a lot. And then slowly his time at this job was increased to 2 days and then 3 days. He went from 2 hours to then later work 17 and a half hours in the week. He didn't want to work full time. He was one of the things that he was very adamant on. I don't want to work full time. So he he worked there for quite some time, and then he was recognized by his employer as being the employee of the month for providing great customer services. The regulars of the store know him by name. He knows them by name. And then I think when was that? I don't remember the month, to be honest with you, because I don't work with him anymore. He's just celebrating his 7-year anniversary
Wow.
in that position. The managers had said, when he's not around, we really miss it. And not only us, the people coming, where is he? I don't see him around. That type of stories kind of duplicates in different programs. We see, people in other programs, he didn't know how to count the money. He didn't even know how to distinguish all the coins. And now he knows. When we go to the store and I tell him, well, you have to pay for that, pull up 3/4. He pulls the 3/4. And before, like, he'll pull the money, like, here, you choose. and stories like that. And, back to this individual, we got feedback from the family saying, I don't know what you're doing with him in that program. He is more easy to talk to. He doesn't get that upset. And we see him kind of stopping, taking a deep breath. It's kind of obvious, but, it's working. Taking a deep breath and then relaxing and talking to us. And he wants to do stuff with us now. And that kind of warms your heart when you feel like it is a difference. It is a different what we do here translates and at home. And, that's kind of one of the stories that I kind of always warms my heart every time I remember it.
What a life-changing accomplishment for an individual and for an organization to be able to facilitate that accomplishment.
He just got his driver's license also.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it was somebody that didn't want to, stay focused on stuff like, you need to clean your room, you need to do that. To commit to do
Yeah.
the test, to practice the test, I think that's amazing.
That is truly amazing, and what an accomplishment. What a support system to have to be able to get there. And that kind of rolls us into, and for our listeners out there that who may be employers, professionals, or community members, how can they partner with organizations to create more inclusive opportunities? Because I know sometimes that might probably be something you guys struggle with, finding partners that are willing to give individuals a chance and are willing to give them that opportunity to find a purpose. So, how can organizations create a more inclusive opportunity for you guys as an organization?
Yes, I think what I mentioned early it's kind of a key component to that.
Mhm.
We teach all the employers that kind of, open the door for us to not see the disability, to just see the potential. In my own personal experience, and I know everybody else kind of does the same thing. We work a lot with the supervisor to kind of see that. Because, every time you walk into business with a person with disability, they always try to treat them like, oh, poor thing. Yeah, you don't do this. No, no. I'll have somebody else do it. You just cannot do this. And I had to stop and I say, no, let him do it. He has to experience. How else he's going to learn? I'm going to teach him the way to do it. Maybe a little bit different than what you normally come, because you say you need to watch this, you need to watch this, and then put him right here, and that's it. And I have to come and say, you need to take this, wash it with this type of soap, then dry it, then put it here, and then put it here in this way. I go there and all the instructors go there and kind of break that task into very small steps so that this person learn it. It's a different way to learn it, but it will learn it. So don't say he can't do it. Give him the chance. And I think that's what I would love any employer to kind of see. Don't concentrate or don't see the disability. Think about the potential this person can bring into your business and kind of the different type of vibe that they bring into their business. Once you open the door and you get to know them, you will see that they bring this type of energy, and your customers or the people that work in your organization kind of feel that because they're very honest. They will tell you like it is. So all the stuff that they are showing you, they're very honest. They will light up the place. And so we try to, pass on that type of motivation to the employees so that they can see it. And at the very beginning, like I say, it's full support. So we ask them to let us do our part, but don't think of them like, oh, they can't do it. No, think of them, yeah, they can. I hire them for that. So, they have to learn it. We want to make sure that they treat the same way as everybody else. And they give them the same opportunities to learn, even if it is a challenging task. That's what we want the employees to kind of feel comfortable and trust the instructor that they will do their job to teach them, even if they think that the task is really difficult.
That's true inclusivity right there. And that's truly seeing strengths versus,
Yes. Yes.
areas of improvement, as they put it. So, Lionel, thank you very so much for sharing your knowledge, your passion, and your mission of Options for All. The work you do truly opens the doors and creates possibilities for the adults and families. Before we close, I love to ask you, what is one message of encouragement or hope you want to give parents and caregivers to walk away with from today's conversation?
Definitely is that they're not alone. And that there's a lot of support out there. I want the parents to really dig into getting the right information so that they can find the right program for their loved ones. We might not be the right program for everybody, because there's certain people that have very specific needs that we don't much, but we are strong enough to say, we can't support that, but here's a different alternative or a different option. But in reality, I want the parents to just feel comfortable about going into getting information of what this program is about. And I take my word for it of anybody's word. We just kind of go see it, because sometimes the parents kind of leave everything to the programs to do. And there's a lot of complaints. You're not doing that, but they have to really get involved and go see it themselves, of what they're doing and make suggestions. We're very open in the communication. It's open with our parents. Recently, the company did a complete restructure of all our programs to make sure that we have a great balance of English and Spanish speaking personnel or staff, so that communication with the parents, because we noticed that was a problem. That communication with the parents it's better. So now the parents feel really comfortable talking in their own language, that they feel comfortable about the issues or about the problems of observations about their loved ones, that we can help, our program to provide better support. Right now, our company, it's honored to being selected by the DDS department to get a grant to help families. Is the Service and Access Equity Grant to help families. We help anybody that needs services. I see it as the bridge, or we're kind of acting like a glue to create a bridge for those families to get all the information. I'm able to go to their houses and do presentations in their home about all these programs and about other general resources, like people wanting to know about IHSS, respite care, or people having troubles knowing how to apply for medical or other type of services. I can help them with that. Or somebody has one of their family members that's struggling with mental health and all that. I have all those resources that I can share with them. We're working on this special project for all the families that wanted to get the information through this program, through this kind of initiative. I've been able to help families that never heard about the regional centers. And at the very beginning, I'm like, what? Where am I going to find those individuals? Right? It's like, it's going to be really
They're
hard.
out there.
And as soon as I start doing these outreach events, and then, I put my name up there and all that, I start getting phone calls. And I don't know the exact number we have. It's been a year since we started with this project. I don't know the exact number that we have. Well, we have helped several families to get into the regional centers that they didn't know that they qualify, and they didn't even know, there was an existence. It mostly is within the Latino community, but I have helped a couple of Asian individuals also from different ethnicities. It's amazing to see their faces when you start explaining all the support that they can get from the regional center. This job is worth it.
It feels
I
good
don't
to
know if
help,
I
doesn't it?
deserve all this, but this feeling is amazing.
Nice.
But,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that.
It's individuals like you that really can change the trajectory of what their children's future is going to look like, or even their own future as family members. It could take a lot of stress away from a family if they have more resources. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you again, Leo, for joining us. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you'd like more information about Options for All or want to explore the Resource Hub interviews, you can just visit www.empathyforautismcalifornia.com, or you can go to my link tree. All the podcast links are there. And just so you guys know, we will provide a Spanish version of this podcast. So if you know of any Spanish speaker that would like to get more resources about Options for All in Spanish, we will have a podcast as well in Spanish. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time on Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. Have a great one. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. We are grateful you took the time to listen and learn alongside us. A special thank you to our guest, Leonel Zuno from Options for All, for sharing his time, insight, and expertise. Conversations like this help families and professionals better understand available resources and how to access meaningful support. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Podbean. We invite you to follow, subscribe, and share this episode with families, professionals, and community members who may benefit from these resources. This podcast was hosted by Empathy for Autism California, Inc., dedicated to elevate voices and building compassionate, inclusive communities. Music from this episode was created and produced by Brad Kaloof, with piano performance by Brad Kaloof and Sophia Chinen. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next episode on Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub. Thank you.